This is Kitten Features, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in his student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wade in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
And hello, everybody, and welcome to Show X on VTWProductions.com. You're listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT on this Sunday, the 24th of June, 2017. We are currently waiting for Ken to hopefully arrive. He was running out desperately, looking to see if... Oh, and thank you, Happy Dude, for hosting us on our stream. I appreciate that. As I now have gotten things more set up and put back together, so hopefully this will work out as we go. Oh, it looks like GoHex tried to call. When did you try to call? You tried to call with Discord? Remember, we're doing Discord now. Or did you try with Skype? So Ken is trying to get into the show right now. My fault, maybe. I may have to switch over to Skype if that's the case, in which case I'll have to set that up real quick. So we'll see, because as we continue to try to update and transfer everything over to new technology, we'll see how this goes. So last time we were on, well, officially all of us together, I was fighting with Comcast. Hopefully this will be fixed this week, as I finally got them to change out the modem that I was running with. And I do apologize for last week, as I was set up to do a live broadcast from Comic-Con, Denver Comic-Con, but then internet's... Oh, hey! Oh, there is a Ken. I can see you. All right, then let me go ahead and turn this thing out and say that Ken's actually here. Yay! All right, so Ken, talk for me again so I can see how well it comes through. Hello?
I still hear you, but you sound extremely robotic still.
Okay, well, if that's the case, let me try to do the restart audio engine and see if that cleans up anything for you. Yeah, using the new virtual cables I'm using, it's good and bad. Good in that it's got all these, it's much more like a mixer and easier to play with. Bad because sometimes it does garble in the same way that the old virtual cables did, but it seems like I'm not hearing it all the time. But when it does garble like this, it has the option to just restart the audio engine without killing everything and bringing it back up. A one-button solution that seems to be working so far. So that's great to see. All right, sir. Now talk to me again. Let me make sure it's coming through properly.
Okay, testing. 1, 2, 3, cat.
Okay, it is coming through, but I need to turn you up. Somehow you're not loud enough for me.
It should be coming in as very quiet. I can turn up on my... wait, let's try this.
Well, and check your Discord settings as well.
Discord's at max. The problem is it's coming in too low. I think it's my mixer, actually. How's it now?
That is improving significantly.
Okay, how about now? Is that better?
Yeah, no, that's great.
Okay, do you want to keep going up, or is that okay?
That looks like you are balancing closer to me, so that should be good. Yeah, that I think will work out. So, as always, chat, let us know if we are blasting you out, doing too much, or something like that. If we need to adjust, this is real time, and we are happy to do so. Also, because Ken is sans headphones today, we are not running with the music, although we are also testing that out in general just to see what you guys think, whether you like the music or not. I know, Hando, I know you love the background music. It's meaningful. It's something for you, but we are going to try to see what we can do to continue to improve and adjust the show as we go forward. So give us that little bit. All right. So with this...
Absolutely. It's good because we can test out if our microphones sound particularly nice this way. And it also means that, yeah, but with the fact that my headphones have gone AWOL, MIA, hopefully not KIA.
That would be bad.
Means that this way the background music doesn't have as much of a feedback loop.
Yes.
So, yeah, if you hear echo as well, let us know, because then I can make... I've already got Wayne very quiet on my end, so I can barely hear him, just to make sure that doesn't happen.
I was going to say, you should... Right now I hear nothing back from you, so if you need to turn up just a little bit, you're probably okay. But we'll see how it
I can
goes.
hear you, just as long as there's no like drills outside.
Yeah,
or something.
other things coming bouncing in on us. So, oh, that's good. So we're back. We're live. We're on the main rig. So hopefully that is good. Oh, I need to transition this because there we go. I keep forgetting that as I'm running studio, they couldn't see you yet because I still had the banner over you saying that you weren't here. Now they should be able to see your lovely face and how bright and beautiful the HD through Discord comes, which is so much nicer. Yeah.
Yeah, the quality is fantastic on Discord, isn't it?
It is. The video comes through beautiful, and actually the audio is
it's
sounding
doing
really
the
good
108
today.
AP like it should do.
So we will continue to play with these. And like I said, feedback, feel free to either text us, message us while we're doing the show, or email us in at showx@vtwproductions.com so that we can
Don't
hear what
text
you're doing.
us.
Okay, not
I don't want
directly.
to receive any SMS text from the US. FYI, not up for it.
Does that cost you anything to receive? Because I know for us sending it doesn't.
Probably.
Well, what I have found when I was traveling is that receiving any text from anywhere in the world didn't cost me a thing. What cost me is when I sent from when I was roaming. Because actually even sending, I want to say, at least on my plan, to like Canada or Mexico for me doesn't cost anything. So I'm not sure how it goes completely, but yeah, that's a curiosity. Interesting. Anyhow, it is time.
I've sent a text in years anyway, so
Well, it's funny. I was watching, because I've been lately, oddly enough, listening to far more podcasts than I have for quite some time. Nice. Admittedly, I have to cut off the top and bottom just a little bit of your display so that I don't get the Discord-like pieces or something. Although I got to play because it's got like a pin button here, pin messages. I don't know. I got to play with stuff on it to see if I can get it organized.
Sorry, I literally arrived 2 minutes after the show, so I didn't have time to fiddle with it. My bad.
It's all good. All right, and testing some of the things I've been playing with. To try to go back and forth. Now, Ken, you probably won't hear this because I had it set to monitor, but I don't think it'll come through to you at all. But I put the drop-ins so that I don't have to click up on Winamp to run them. Instead, I can click right in OBS and say that we're going to go ahead and get started with... Oh, wait. Did that not... Oh, I wonder if I have to be off studio mode to do that. So if I do it like this...
Dysfunctional deviations.
Yay, it worked. So now it should be dysfunctional deviations. I saw it bounce. I had it set to monitor, but for whatever reason, I'm not hearing it now. I wonder if I change my output in such a way so that I don't know what's going on. But yeah. And Copy's telling us with her plans that she pays an extra $15 for unlimited international roaming, which is actually really cheap to be able to do that. That's really cool. And
cool.
Yes, Happy Dude, Winapp's actually surprisingly usable still. They've kept it up to date. And even though I know it went through some changes where it's supposed to be sold, and I don't know who owns it now officially, Winamp seems to run great. So anyhow, I've been playing with technology to move things around. Since we're not using Sam Broadcaster anymore, we are trying to use some more modern tools to just make the show look better, nicer, happier, everything like that. So that's what we're doing. There is a lot of news this week and things, so I don't want to linger too long on dysfunctional deviations. Like I was starting at the show, I do want to apologize to everyone for last week's attempt to stream at Comic-Con. As I was using apps from the phone that I downloaded right away, it would only let me do it in portrait mode, not landscape, things like that. So it was an attempt, and it was shoddy at best. So sorry for that. And because it was kind of going as bad as it was, just I could see it connect, disconnect, and because I couldn't get feedback from anybody, I didn't have the stamina to keep going. I was like, nope, I don't like this at all, so I'm done. So I did give a little bit, showed a little bit about what Comic-Con was looking like, but I swear it was like 15, 20 minutes of content. So sorry about that. Also, as I was saying, hopefully, because the last time we were all on together, we had the normal interweb disconnects that my ISP was giving us. Hopefully that will be taken care of because I have gotten them to replace the modem. And so the main gateway that I have in the house, actually talked to them a few times and was like, all right, guys, this is not satisfactory. I pay far too much for this account for me to have shoddy connection. And the challenge is when they came out, and I knew it was going to happen, they continue to profess, well, we've checked the modem, we keep looking at it, and as far as we can tell, there's nothing wrong. We don't see anything. It's like, yeah, that's nice. It's broked, and I want a new one. But thankfully, I had told them that far before, so they came out bearing a new one in hand, even though they did test it again. I was like, don't matter, give me a new one. So they did replace it. I haven't seen any dropouts since, so I'm hoping that's been sorted. I do believe, go figure, that electronics that had been hit by lightning maybe had something going on internally. Who knows? But a thought. And so, yeah, hopefully we will be a little more stable as we go forward. So that to everybody.
Well done for you for doing that, because that's a pain in the butt getting that sort of thing sorted, and working with any ISP is always a pain in the butt. So well done getting that sorted, sir. I do appreciate it.
And it was more challenge just having to schedule everything and wait for them and get off work a little early to kind of get everything, but done. Also, real quick, want to throw out a couple happy birthday wishes. One to my mom, because today is her birthday. So happy birthday, Mom. And equally, I believe it's actually today, is our good friend Kuro. Went actually down to Pueblo last night to have a barbecue to celebrate for him, which was good times, although it required me going, I was up one direction, the other way in Colorado, up in Boulder for martial arts training. Came back, got cleaned up, grabbed some stuff, and basically headed down to Pueblo right after. And so I was on the road a lot yesterday. And then afterwards, late at night, came driving back up and didn't get home till about 2, 3 in the morning. But it was good and totally worth being able to sit down and actually celebrate with Kuro to say happy birthday for him. So that was cool.
He is worthy. That is true.
Yeah, and if anybody saw on social media, one of the things I did for him is, and part of the reason I had to wait until I was down there to check, because he has an Oculus like I do for VR, and he really enjoys it, is I had to check to see if he had actually played or seen Beat Saber yet. Which, for those who don't know, is the lightsaber rhythm game that is flippin' amazing and so much fun. And so once I realized he didn't have it, because there's the two stores, either Oculus or Steam, I was able to gift him a copy on Steam real quick, and we played it towards the end of the night after he installed it, and he had great fun. So that was nice. And I am a big fan of Beat Saber. But did that for Kuro. Like I said, I got to hang out, talk, meet up with him and all, which was a good time. Got to deliver to Tom Bad Guy the gift from Copy, which was one of the mini original SNESes that had come out that she had got for several people. So was able to deliver that to him. And so all of that going, that was a good time yesterday. So those are the happy birthdays I wanted to throw out there. And I think that catches up most of what I cared about sharing real quick. Because I do want to get into news.
I've actually got 2 birthdays I'd like to give a shout out to as well. First of all, it is my sister-in-law, my eldest sister-in-law.
True. Yes, I wished her a happy birthday as well. So
it's Aslan. Happy birthday to Aslan. I believe it's inappropriate to say how old she is on air, so I shan't do that. Instead, I'll just say happy birthday, and I look forward to hopefully celebrating it. Ideally, sometime this year, if not, hopefully next year with her to see her again. That'd be great. The second birthday that I go shout out to, which is actually why I was a little late today, was because I was actually at a party, was my granddad's 90th.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's a big milestone. So I actually said to him, that's an impressive age, Granddad. And he was like, thanks. As always, they're asking for you, Wayne. They're asking because they miss you and love you. I've
been thinking more and more about how I need to plan heading out that direction again. I really do.
You're always welcome. Always welcome. So yeah, went there and they got this fantastic cake for my granddad. It was this like perfectly crafted piece of art that had like it was a cow eating grass.
Okay.
Not like a picture. Like it was actually like
3-dimensional and oh nice.
Yeah, it was a really, really well made cake. Because my granddad was a farmer for most of his life. He herded cattle. A cowboy, you might say.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, so he was also in the military and stuff, but that was the most of his life he spent as doing that. So happy birthday to my granddad and to Aslan. Yes. Other things I want to give a quick mention to, if you don't mind.
Please go ahead. I said I'm done with my dysfunctional deviation, so whatever you need.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I know we've got other things to talk about, so I don't want to take up too much time. But I'm aware that I've missed the last 2 shows, and I do apologize. I had too much stuff on. I feel the weight on my shoulders more than ever before in terms of work. Not in terms of like a specific thing, but in general. It's like it's my final year and I've got 10 months left. I have to write I have to begin writing my thesis at some point this year. And I've also got to release at least 2 papers this year. So there's a lot of responsibility on my shoulders right now. And
I know those feelings. Work for me recently has been a lot of responsibility and things kind of kicking in. So I feel you, sir.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm not even taking time off for work stuff. It's been like personal stuff that I have to like try and squeeze in alongside the work stuff. So, so I had that. I was in Geneva last weekend.
Yay!
With Ken Features to visit the in-laws, and that was lovely. Beautiful weather so it's the west of Geneva, I suppose, which is right next. So we're actually in France, is where they live, but we land in Geneva. So but like if you drive to any nearby town, you go through the border like 16 times.
Ha.
So while I say that I was I went to Geneva, I was really in Geneva / France. So I do use the terms kind of interchangeably.
Okay.
I went to Geneva and we had a great time. We had a bit of a crazy time actually as well because my in-laws had a barbecue and it was redneck themed.
Okay.
Well, I was told it was redneck themed. It was actually cowboy themed. But I showed up completely offensively with a t-shirt that said FNN on it, Fake News Network, and a Trump hat.
Oh gosh. Oh no.
Which thankfully the vast majority of the party found humorous.
That's good because I'm assuming with the intent behind that. So
yeah, it was out of a genuine attempt to be humorous. And so it was received fine. Although I did find that there was one Trump supporter at the party, and but thankfully I don't think they ever saw me or interacted with me. Because this is the community they're with. They're Americans, and so the
gotcha.
They have, there's about 50, 60, 70 people at the party, all Americans, right?
Oh wow.
Just all the Americans in they pretty much work at CERN, I guess. We're all there, so that was cool. What else? So when we were there, the crazy thing happened. We were having the barbecue, and we're just sitting chatting and moseying, talking to different people and such. When this guy randomly says, like, sort of sharp intake of breath, and we all turn around, and the barbecue gasoline canister is on fire.
What?
The whole thing, like engulfed in flames.
Propane canister, right? Like actual,
yeah, like the whole thing, yeah. And so that was pretty scary.
Yes. So
my father-in-law starts trying to turn off the gas with his hand, not being particularly successful due to the fact the fire is hot. Then my mother-in-law goes and gets a fire extinguisher to put out the fire. In the meantime, I'm sort of trying to herd people away because people kind of. It's interesting. You'd think people would all know to run away in that situation, but I'd say with 3/4 of the party ran down the garden as they should have, and I'd say only maybe 1/4 actually stayed there and gawked or talked to people or didn't really think it was that big a deal. And I was like, so I started trying to herd the people that were left over, like, please go back down the garden, please leave. This is dangerous. But they just weren't particularly interested in listening.
Oh man.
It was fine. It was fine in the end. So my mother-in-law came back with a fire extinguisher, managed to use it on the. Now, the way that this was situated is the barbecue was outside her kitchen, right?
Okay.
And when the fire extinguisher went off, it's a powder-based fire extinguisher.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know if you can imagine, but one tiny 1/4 second of a scoosh from this thing is insanely, I don't know, voluminous. Lots of this powder comes out. So she scooshes it once, douses the flame instantly. It's gone. It's just completely gone. It's
nice.
Everything's fine, which is great. But her now her kitchen is just absolutely covered in the
retardant, in the flame retardant.
In this powder stuff. Yeah. So it was not ideal. She was not particularly pleased about that. But everything worked out fine. It was really no issue. It was just a funny story, thankfully, because these things can be pretty devastating if it goes awry. So it was good. It was a good thing. So that's pretty much everything I want to talk about. I guess that was pretty much it.
Nice.
Crazy stories, thankfully.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, with that then, let's go ahead and jump into more our Geek Cred side, just to talk a little bit about a geek, and then we're probably going to go pretty quickly into the Geekoscope, because there's a lot of gaming news we have not covered here on the show between us, especially since E3 happened. But, as we said before, another happy birthday to Kuro, since you've shown up and are in chat now. So how is it going, Kuro? Hopefully you had a lovely rest of your evening last night, and hopefully you didn't stay up too much swinging virtual lightsabers, but if you did, good times. So, as we go in, and I'll now try to do my next transition piece and see if it works. So again, sorry Ken, you won't hear this, but we will do Geek Cred.
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek Cred, level up!
Yay! So at least it played out, and hopefully everyone out there heard it, because I saw it bouncing on levels here. But with that, The first thing I want to talk about, actually real quick, is because this happened just the other day, but there was an update to the game that I've been playing a lot of, and friends around me, and it's fun that now that it has been updated, I'm starting to see how many people still are playing, but Pokemon Go. They just did a new big update.
I saw all the Facebook updates from you and your friends.
But there are a few things that happen, and nice things. I can actually go into the game and click on the, let's see, news, so I can read officially from it. And so there are a couple updates, one of them being that they opened up a little bit new area in that they're now into Alona, I believe it is the region. And so they have a new splash page when it first starts up. Also, because it's a rotation of the legendaries that are in raids. So now they're into, what is it? The legendary Pokemon Regis is ready for bone-chilling raid battles. I don't know how to say it, but some cool looking crystal rock type Pokemon that are now in the gyms. But the bigger update and this is one that I think people have been waiting for since the game launched, but it is trading features now rolling out, plus more Alolan form Pokemon. So not only that, so the big things is there's more regional Pokemon, and a lot of them, just to me so far, because I don't know the Alolan region, seem to be reskins of original ones. Different types from the originals, because they look basically the same, except for Rattata. Rattata now has like a mustache-looking thing, I guess. Just like the whiskers or something is a different color, but still comes up just as a Rattata, so it doesn't actually come up as like a different type, just a different skin on it. Anyhow, the news says, great news, trainers! The trading and friend features have started rolling out. These features will begin appearing gradually based on trainer level, so keep your eyes out our social media channels for updates on when they'll become available to you. And the Alolan forms of even more Pokemon originally discovered in the Kanto region will also start appearing in the world, showing up in raid battles and hatching from eggs found in gifts. Celebrate the spirit of Alola with friends and get ready for some exciting changes. Stay safe and happy exploring. So one of the big things there is they start out at the level 40s, max level people, to allow the friends piece to work. But now, if you go into your character menu of yourself, there's a new tab over to the right called Friends that you can swipe over to. And in there, much like a Nintendo friend code, if you will, you can add friends. And they use a 12-digit number that they will show you yours, and you can post and share with friends to have them add, or you add them, at which point you can get a list of all these people. Another thing they've done all around with the friends now is you can trade Pokemon. I haven't done it much, tried it a little bit. You have to be apparently within 100 meters physically of the person you're trading with. So you can't just trade across to other oceans for friends that you happen to have and get some of those rare Pokemon. You have to actually see them or be close enough to them. With that, there are some bonuses, because it looks like you can actually earn some candies based on which Pokemon you trade. And you can only trade a Pokemon once. Once you get one that's been traded to you, you can't trade that Pokemon. So that's interesting little bits. With that, what was the other part of that? There's some rewards and bonuses, which I haven't experienced yet, for trading Pokemon from far distances. So if you travel somewhere and acquire a Pokemon, or if you've gotten it, and the distance from the person that normally they're at, I guess, when you trade it, makes a big difference. And so I will have to see how that goes, but it makes me even more want to travel some to kind of see where else I could go and what kind of bonuses I get from that. Also, now you can trade gifts, which is probably one of the coolest parts of this thing.
Yeah, I like that.
Because the gifts allow you to send like a random package to other friends on your list. And when they get it and open it, they get a random set of different things out of the gifts, including, like they said, sometimes these eggs that you can now hatch. For me, they've been 7-kilometer eggs that have a different look to them than the original eggs you can walk, specifically from the region. I've heard that you can, from that, basically hatch some of these Alola region Pokemon directly. But you have to have an open egg slot, so that's one thing. If you want to get an egg out of a package, or the likelihood of one, make sure that you've walked an egg and not picked up a new one from a stop. The other piece of that is to get gifts. You can only give each person on your list one gift a day, and to acquire gifts, you have to spin stops. So it's another thing where you don't just magically get gifts, you have to run around, so you can only get as many as you do when you get up there and have gifts from various stops. Gifts you can send to anyone on your list. You don't have to be proximity based, so you can already just send them back and forth. So that's why Copy, if you were to keep playing, you could actually receive and get gifts and have friends on your friends list, even if they're not right by you. It's only the trading piece that you have to be close to someone with. The other piece, or I think that's the majority of what I've seen with the friends part of it, and the trading, I haven't done much trading yet, and I've slowly been capturing a few new Pokemon, but did want to throw that out there as kind of a heads up that this, to me, has been a pretty cool feature that a lot of people have been waiting for, and we'll see how it expands and continues to grow. I know right after the show, although I have to double check, I haven't seen a response that solidified it, but a group of people I know on the other end of town are going to be doing a Pokemon raid somewhere, try to get together and go massive raiding, so I may try to go find them and jump into that if I get a confirmation where they're at. Mostly so I can try to get some of these new legendaries, because I do not have enough legendaries. I never seem to see them. All right, I need to shut this off. So, that was a big thing that for Pokemon Go, because I've still been playing that. It's neat to see an update that people have been waiting for quite some time. All right. Outside of that, Ken, did you have any personal geek that you want to bring up? Because I think everything else of mine is going to be related to E3 stuff. Oh, I do need to bring up one other thing. I apologize. As I was looking around, my local group threw me a belated birthday party yesterday. Or was it yesterday? Day before. Friday. Which was a lot of fun. They found some things I didn't think you could. They had found, Zenko actually had gone out somewhere online and found an original set of birthday decorations from Robotech, the 80s Harmony Gold produced U.S. make of the Macross movies, the Japanese anime that brought over from the early 80s. And they found like a gift set that was vintage on eBay or somewhere like that, and actually decorated my house with some of that, which was so surprising. They also made me some themed drinks all about Geek and some of the things I loved. And like one of the things, and I'll stand up for this a little bit, it made me a shirt that most people won't be able to see what the details of it is. It's actually meant to be subtle, but if you did figure it out, it's awesome. This shirt is actually a scene from Cowboy Bebop. One of my favorite scenes in the series because it has some of my favorite music ever. But it's a scene where Spike is falling out of the window from the top of a church. And in it, they play this really kind of sad, kind of mellow music behind it. It's very orchestral that I just absolutely love. And so with that, in the background in here is actually the score of that song, which cool. Is really phenomenal. The fact that she was able to go out and find like the actual notes, not just say the song or something like that, or just the notes, or because there's no lyrics. I guess there are, but things like that. So I was really blown away with that. Beyond that, Hyde, I guess, did this as a joke, but ended up getting me a movie, and I was like, okay. And the movie she got me was the Bee Movie with Jerry Seinfeld, which everyone agrees is terrible, horrible, and I have no idea why. But it was kind of set up as a joke even when she did it. So that. Also, she gave me, and it was funny, I totally missed this, and I need to tell her that specifically, because she used a bag that I had sitting out in the house for some time, and taken out things that I had received in it from, honestly, either my last birthday or something else that had been sitting in the house somewhere. And she put like the movie in there with some stuff over it, like, here you go. And I took that open, and she took the bag back. And then I looked back, and she gave me the bag again, but this time it had something else in it, kind of thing. And I was just like, what? And she did this to me a couple times where I was just like, I totally missed whenever she took the next thing and stuck it in, but ended up giving me another copy of Ready Player One, the hardback, for that, which I'm actually really appreciative of because my other two copies are both lent out and I don't have on my shelf. So that was cool. And specifically talked to the fact that she got me the original cover version versus the updated one that's on shelves that has like images from the live action movie, which I appreciate because the movie paled in comparison to the actual book, at least as my opinions are. So that was thoughtful. I like that. I apparently have another gift hiding for me somewhere because it got left in a car and got moved around, stuff like that. But the other thing I got, and this is going to be an interesting one, is Melon Dreams went out and got me a condenser mic.
Oh, nice.
Interestingly enough, and it's one that Newer is an interesting brand. It's a company that I've seen with photography equipment and stuff like that, where they make kind of some, I don't know what to say. Not that they're high or low end or something. They're just not like what you would consider a main brand. And so
Cool.
I actually want to do a test because I have, well, it has a shock mount, which is really cool. But I have it hooked up to the mixer board through, it can take an XLR. I just plugged it in kind of through a side port thing. So I'm going to turn down my microphone and turn it up and see what happens, because I have no idea how it's going to sound. Because the microphones we use are actually, in studio here, are actually pretty nice condenser mics for vocal. So I'm going to shut mine down. So here I go. And I'm going to turn this one. Hello, 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 hello. So hopefully,
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, cool. So this is the other microphone. Now it may be being picked up slightly on, because it's actually sharing a channel with the microphone across the way.
It's very reverby.
Okay, well, and that might be because, let me see, if I hold this, let's try this real quick. Sorry to mix it. Okay. Okay. So I guess what was happening there is not that it was actually going through this new mic. I'll have to play with it. I think it was actually going through the other thing. So I could try something different here. Because I wonder if it doesn't do the shadow power through the little cable it came with. So
Yep.
So I'm going to unplug this other XLR mic, the one next to us, and plug it in here. And now I'll try it off this one, because this one is straight off XLR. So let's see. Actually, that might have been why too, but because, oh. Yeah, anyhow, let me try this again.
Can't hear you at all now.
Well, I guess that means I'm going to have to be doing some testing with it then. I was hoping it would kick right on. I'll have to play with it and see if there's something I'm missing and how this one works. So I'd like to try it out, I'd like to see, because I think it'd be interesting just to tell the difference or kind of see how it works. So I will have to do some more testing with that. Oh, well, it was worth the attempt. But yeah, so I'll have to play with this mic. I'm kind of curious. I love that it has a shock mount, and it reminds me actually of the nicer blue mics, the big cans they have, at least in the look and design. So, but I have no idea what the internals on it are, so I'll have to check it out some more. Anyhow, so that was birthday stuff for me.
That's cool, though.
As well as some great foods and stuff like that as well, and some customized drinks, like I said. So that was a good time. Apparently it was about 2 months in the making, since they've been planning since before my birthday, and it's been about a month and a half since then.
Sweet.
So it was nice that they were able to pull that off. So much appreciated. All right. So on to you. Do you have any other personal geek that you wanted to bring up, Ken? And I know I've got at least one email in here that I'd need to talk through before we get into news about E3 and things.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things I should probably talk about. So, first of all, the one I really wanted to talk about actually is the program TV show on Netflix called Sense8.
Oh yeah.
So it's something I tried watching when it first came out and it first aired, and I think I got like, or maybe a little later than that. I got through most of the first. I finished the first season, and I got about halfway through the second, and then I just sort of stopped.
Yeah, I got through
that was all that was available at the time.
I got through the first season. I never made it through or even into the second.
Did you not like it?
Well, no, I liked the first season. There were some patches that were a little much for me, but overall I enjoyed it. And so, but I haven't even started the second season. I just kind of forgot. I don't know.
Okay, because I found that it was, I don't know. I was first sort of unsure what to expect. It seemed, well, put it this way, it's the kind of thing that's put into the LGBT category, and I was worried it got funding just because it was pushing something that, you know, the funders were interested in pushing rather than actually being any good.
Well, yeah,
And
its own story or
I'm all
content.
for like having more representability in different TV shows and the likes, but I don't want something to exist solely for that purpose, because it tends to not have any soul, you know.
Yes.
If you exist for an ethical reason but you have no actual story or enjoyable fiction behind you, then what's the point, right? However, I was pleasantly disappointed in that sense, I suppose, or not disappointed, I guess. It was fantastic. It is one of the best Netflix shows I've ever seen.
Oh wow!
It was very, very, very good. So first of all, season 1 was really enjoyable. You get characters a lot. The premise of the show is it's effectively a fantasy, I suppose, based in the real world, where there's a subset of humans who are effectively mutants, I suppose, but have apparently been around for millions of years in secrecy, more or less, who have the ability to from birth. Okay, it's hard to explain, but basically, there's a group of up to 8 people who are telekinetically linked.
Yes.
And they share all their experiences. They can share language, they can share thoughts, they can talk to each other, and they can effectively astral project to each other. They can't actually interact with the real world, but they can appear to each other and talk to them, right? So you might, like, if me and Wayne had this, he would see me sitting on the chair next to him or something like that, and I would see everything that he sees around him and the likes, and it's that's kind of how
It's like the ultimate virtual reality from the other person's perspective.
effectively, yeah, that's a good way of putting it, actually. Like I said, you can also take all of the, like, so if you spoke French, I would be able to speak French because I'd be able to just access that in your mind, more or less. And that's kind of how it worked. So it's a pretty interesting premise, and I wanted to see where they would go with it. I gotta say, it just the visuals, the music, the characters that they put into the entire show are just so interesting and worth listening to. I fell in love with every single character within the main group of the Sense8 group. It's called Sense8 because they're called Sense8s, right? With the actual word sense and the word 8 put together, a Sense8. But the show is called Sense, then the number 8, right? Because there's 8 of them in a group. But they're each individually a Sense8, if you know what I mean. So each character in the group is super interesting, really unique. At first, again, my first thought was like, okay, this is clearly pushing a sort of pro LGBT thing, which again I don't have a problem with if that's alongside it, as long as it's not like all it is.
Yeah, you
But
don't just want them
definitely more than that.
Yeah, you don't want them just shoving an ideal down your throat the whole show. You
no,
want an
it
actual
wasn't just
show.
like, look at all the different people. They're disabled and they're different races and they're everything. They're so diverse. White people suck. Like, no, it was nothing like that. It was more like, yeah, this is very diverse, and that's part of it. However, it's not the main thing. It's actually got a really, really interesting storyline, and it was awesome. Yeah, the characters are all great. There's let's see, there's a transsexual male to female person who has a girlfriend, and they are by far the most heavy pushing of that sort of side of things. By far, right? As you can
Well, there's
kind of
that,
imagine.
and there's the actor. That's more just specifically the gay character in it.
Yeah. There's a Mexican actor who is actually gay and is trying to keep a secret and kind of fails, and then he has to eventually come out and basically loses his job over it. So that was it was interesting to see these different perspectives, and I expected it to be like, you know, just that, but like the fact that they had these characters and actually made them real people who are really interesting. The only thing is the transgender character was a bit of a Mary Sue. Like, she was also a hacker, and her hacking abilities were to the point of like insanity, right?
Yeah,
like,
it was a bit more than reality.
yeah, it was way more than reality. It was like, what's that? You're stuck in, I don't know, any car park in the world. We'll open the gate. We'll just hack into the system. It's like, okay. And there was one scene in the second season where they actually thought, like, we want to do something where like, magic hacking powers don't solve everything. So they had her just randomly fall and get KO'd for no reason. She just was walking through her apartment, fell over and got knocked out. And I was actually kind of like, that's kind of a relief, because I really wanted to see something happen without her magic hacking powers.
Gotcha.
So if you give that part a bit of a pause, like the actual characters are fantastic, really, really interesting. The gay Mexican couple, the two guys, they're just such great characters. Like, I actually miss them. Like, you know, when you watch a TV show or you read a series and you miss the cast,
To a
I
degree,
really
yeah.
feel that with Sense8. I really miss the two Mexican guys. Riley Blues, the DJ from Iceland, who has a kind of a crazy history with her mum dying and stuff at a young age, and then she loses a baby and loses her husband, and in the fjords of Iceland. And it's quite a depressing backstory. And the way that they tie in all these different character traits, and they really make use of this sort of fantasy element of the connection through their minds, with their character development really, really well. So quite often, you know, they'll be sitting worrying about a problem, and they'll suddenly appear, like say the Icelandic girl would suddenly appear in India and be like, look around and be like, I wonder why I'm here. And she talks to the other one in her group, this telekinetically linked person that's in India, and they start talking about whatever's currently on their mind, and they realize that they made that sort of empathic link because they both have been through something in the past that's similar, and they sort of talk it through and give each other advice. Even if it's not obvious or they don't choose to do it, they sort of subconsciously, so it kind of adds in this element of their ability to connect each other is not just an active thing, it's also this passive thing where they'll do it when they need to. Quite often if somebody gets in some trouble, they'll connect to the horrifically stereotypical Asian woman who knows karate.
Yes,
who's actually a really interesting character once she gets expanded, and she has a really awesome drama with her family, where her family are all like corrupt and murderers and stuff, and she's a total badass, and she is good that she's a badass that can kick ass, but it kind of sucks that she's, you know, generic Asian person who knows karate.
Gotcha.
Well, like, it'd be cool if she knew boxing, you know, like that would have been fine.
Just something that changes it up.
Yeah, you could just mixed up a little bit, but I'm not complaining that much. And in the end, is the, you know, the form of martial arts from that part of the world. So it makes sense. It doesn't actually ever say karate, right? It's cool. It's just obvious. It says a martial art. I'm just assuming. The music, the soundtrack's absolutely fantastic. The visuals are beautiful. So a large part of the show is sort of trying to make you feel what they feel. It's less about, you know, oh, this person's sad, let's have sad music and stuff. It's more like if one of them starts to get into a sort of sexual scene, you can tell they're all sort of linked and start to feel that way. And it's pretty funny. There's actually one scene where this is going on. There's a couple of the characters in the main group start to have sex with their partners. And this one policeman called Will, US based policeman, who's at the gym working out, and he's like doing sit-ups, but you can kind of hear him like starting to groan, like he's kind of like enjoying it, but he has this really confused look on his face, like he doesn't quite understand what's going on.
Yep.
And he does like his final rep, and he kind of like he like really, you know, grunts it out, and he sort of looks around, and you can tell that he just enjoyed the same experience everybody else did at the end of sex.
that he really did finish that workout.
Yeah, he finished his reps, let's say. Yeah, and he's looking around like, did anybody hear me? What the hell just happened? And it's pretty funny.
Oh, gosh.
This is early on when they're sort of exploring their link and they don't quite understand it, and they barely met each other. They're not even sure if it's just they're going crazy or whatever at this point. Later on in I think the end of that season or the next season, when he actually finally meets one of the Mexican gay guy, actually, Mexican gay actor, he's like, do I know you? And the actor responds with, yeah, we had sex. Because they had that empathic link where the Mexican guy had sex with his boyfriend, but Will, the police guy, felt it because they're in the same sort of mindset.
Yes.
So it's a really, really funny show. There's a lot of good moments in that. You really feel connected to the characters. And I really can't recommend it enough. I've been talking a lot about it to my friends and family, saying it's really good. So the reason I actually watched it again was because Sense8 was released as a finale now. So they had season 1, and then they pushed season 2, and then they got cut from Netflix. So they were told you're done, and they said, oh, we hadn't even finished like explained what happened or what's going on. There's a lot of good build up in terms of where they are in the storyline, who exists in the character set, who the sort of bad guys are, that sort of thing. They're basically it's basically a group of sapiens, as they call them, normal humans who are trying to, you know, commit Holocaust against all these people for whatever reason. And you don't quite understand why at this point. So instead of it being summed up over multiple seasons and, you know, getting to the end of exploring this universe and this really interesting character set, they kind of had to do it in a single episode. So they made it 2.5 hours.
So they basically had to do a full wrap-up thing. Yeah,
they had to do a full wrap-up. It was movie length, though. It was 2.5 hours. And it was the most amazingly well put together episode. Like, I really enjoyed it. I actually made me like follow a bunch of the people in the cast on Twitter, on Instagram. It made me join the subreddit for Sense8 because I just wanted to talk to our people about the last episode because it was just so mind blowing. All the stuff that happened, all the wrap ups. There's still some stuff that's not really explained. For example, one of the characters. This is a slight spoiler. One of the characters, Indian girl called Kala, has a husband that she was kind of not arranged into, but like it was. By the moment that he expressed interest in her, the marriage date was set within like 2 weeks. because that was kind of their culture.
Yes.
And she's not sure if she loves him, and she thinks she does. Like, he's a great guy. He's really rich and owns the company that she works at and stuff.
He's actually, I think, a pretty nice guy in it too.
What was that?
I think he's actually a pretty nice guy too. It's not like he.
Oh yeah, he's like the greatest guy. He's
it's not like he was forced on something.
He's really, really nice.
Yeah,
really sweet guy. Really cares for her, puts a lot of time aside for her, etc. Defends her from his father, etc. as well. Like, really nice guy. Raja, I think his name is. And then the Sense8 connection begins, and she starts connecting with this German dude called Wolfgang, and she kind of falls in love with him, but doesn't want to, but can't really help it because your literally minds are connected. You know, like imagine you had a crush on somebody when you're in a relationship. You can just avoid them. She can't, because they're literally connected by brains, right? Like, you can't avoid it. And so what was going to happen there? Like, it was quite interesting. We didn't really know what was going to happen with that weird situation. We thought it started hinting towards, like, maybe Raja's a bit evil. Like, there were some ties to show that he did some evil stuff with his company, but he was trying to he realized he was wrong and was trying to fix it. So we didn't know if he was going to continue down the evil path, or if he wasn't lying and is actually going to fix the bad ethical issues that he has going on, or whether she's going to break up with the German guy, or who knows. And in the final episode, it's resolved in a way that nobody expected.
Okay, don't spoil that one, because I'm
not going to spoil
curious
it. It's
now.
a little out there, and it's been very mixed. Some people are very happy about it, some people are very sad. But it's definitely worth watching. The show, like, I hope you can tell how passionate I am about the show by just talking about it. Again, I miss the cast, I miss the characters. I really hope that it gets renewed by somebody somewhere. Because it was such a beautiful series, really, really beautifully produced. The visuals are really, really gorgeous. It's worth watching on a nice big TV. Don't watch it on your phone or something.
Well, that's one of the things, because it's a Netflix produced show. It actually comes out in like full 4K, and it uses the was it Dolby Vision and such like that. So it is very pretty.
Yep,
it's a very pretty show.
By the way, is anybody else hearing Wayne occasionally go quiet, like during speaking? Is it just me?
During speaking or just after? Because I have been playing
during,
with.
Like, you'll be speaking, and then I'll see your mouth still moving, and then your audio will come back, and you finish a sentence.
Okay, no, it's probably the gate that I had set up, the audio gate, so that it doesn't hear as much background noise, and it actually cuts off.
It just did it when you were saying the word background.
What? With background, it did. Interesting. I just turned the gate down, so it shouldn't be as much an issue now. It should be able to keep going.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Okay, no, I did just turn it down, so hopefully that will help. But please, yes, let me know if that does still keep happening. But yeah, I was trying to play with it because it hopefully keeps out any background noise or random like shuffling of things is kind of the goal. Kuro says it sounds fine to him, so maybe there's a little Discord hiccup here and there. But we'll
that's possible. If so, that's not the biggest deal. But,
okay.
Okay. So yeah, watch Sense8 if you have Netflix. It is worth it. It's really fun. At least give it a shot. The first couple of episodes are pretty good. I found myself hooked after a few.
Very cool. All right. So let's see. We have 2 emails that have come in. Did you still have more you want to drop on that, Ken?
Oh, I have a lot I could say, but I'm aware that we have a lot to talk about as well. So I'll avoid delving down too deep into my geek cred.
Well, we can catch up more through this, but I feel like we have some time critical stuff we have to do with E3 and such before it becomes old news. So I do want to be able to spend that in the second half of the show here. So, and we can share some more of yours, but I do want to get to these 2 emails before I forget. So the first one, Geek Cred, this one says, "Hello once more, good sirs of the Great X. AgriSSW here once again to share my Geek Cred. I've been making more tweaks to my Twitch streaming in an attempt to make better content. For example, I have created my own custom logo for my channel and now have it along with a floating chat box as well. Soon I will try expanding beyond just BattleTech and stream some other games. For anyone who might be mildly entertained, come check out my channel and hope to see you there. His is twitch.tv/SaintUther. And, of course, coming to us from AgriSSW, level 110, Human Paladin from the Guild, Silverwings on Moongard US.
You're roboting now, sir.
Am I?
Yes.
Okay, let me redo things for you, Ren. And that, the Paladin and husband-to-be of Ambrosia Hartnett. Let's see if I can, once again, do the... And hopefully that will clean some things up to you, Ken. We'll see.
It did for a second, but it's back to roboting again.
Interesting. So, on the far end, everybody, are you hearing me, robot, or is that just Ken? Copy says no robots.
No robots.
I'm wondering if that's not something of a Discord thing that's happening.
Okay, I'm going to restart Discord then. Ready?
Yep. I will see you shortly. That means you get Inception of Wayne. But it's funny how quick things come back.
It's still doing it.
Maybe
if you leave because maybe it's your connection to Discord.
All right, let me kill my Discord and bring it right back. So if I go, that's the easiest way to do this. Silly Discord.
The Discord of Discord says copy.
Yeah. No, but I appreciate. Yeah, this is us doing the feedback thing. So let's see, where did Discord go? Hiding from me. There you are. I will absolutely kill that. Quit. Loses us again, and then go. You back, Discord. Come and show us how we can connect. Back to Ken.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm struggling to hear you because it's still very roboty.
Ah, that is so weird. Let's see. I started like everything on my end, and it's still doing it. Because I still hear and see you just fine. Let me.
I can vaguely understand you.
And you're not seeing my camera now, right?
Nope.
Weird. Well,
I'll restart my Discord. It might be on my end.
All right, try one more time. We shall see. Because, like I said, I see you fine, hear you fine.
I'll try it. We'll see.
Okay. But the response from everyone else is that you guys are hearing me just fine, correct? And so I'm getting buffering, is what Hando is saying, or a heavy dude. Sorry.
That's weird. I was instantly in the call. I didn't have to do anything. But yeah, you're still roboting, and I still can't see your camera.
Well, that's the way Discord is. No, my camera's off right now. I have to kick it back on for you that way. Let's see. Now everyone else says they can hear me just fine, and so I'm not sure. But let us press forward for a minute, and then I'll let you start talking. Yeah, because well, like I said, I hear you just fine. If
you're trying to prompt me, make it very obvious because I might not understand you when you first prompt me. Yeah, do that.
All right. Yeah, I think everyone else hears us fine, so it's what's going to you that's causing issue. Let's see. If you are on output 2, this should make it so you can't hear me, right? Can you hear me, Ken? Nope. Shouldn't be able to hear me. Now you should be able to hear me, right, Ken?
I can still hear you, but
again, it's still a mess. Okay, that's fine. All right, so that was the email from AgroSSW. Ken, do you have up our next email?
I do. So this one's called Rip Wallet from Cupcheck. So he says, well, this is the time of the year where GDQ, Steam sales, and convention season starts, and I'm just stuck in bed because I just woke up before showtime. But I'm here to share the biggest tip leading into something we don't have control over. Kinky. The Steam sales, of course. Whenever they start, it appears that they do not announce the start of them, and they just happen. Except for there's usually a day or two where it's leaked somewhere, and I saw the leak the day before, so it does go out. I think I shared it on the ShowX page for those who are interested. I always tend to put the sales there on Facebook. And for those cheap people who love their games, get a head start right after the sale is over, leading into the next big sale during the winter. Sell your Steam trading cards. I actually just put all of mine up a few days ago. So I think I had like 45 or something garnered over a long time, some of which were worth a couple of pounds. So hopefully none have sold so far, of course, but hopefully I'll get, if I got £3 or £4, I'd be very happy with that. Even though it cost me about 20 minutes of my time, which is not really worth £3 or £4. Most titles from major developers have them as a popular indie titles as well. And here are the top number 2 for you. When you sell your card, it will say that under the price upon which a particular card is being sold, and how many have been sold over that period of price over a period of time. So yeah, when you when you sell your trading cards on Steam, which you get by playing games, they just come. Everybody gets them for playing games, random ones at that. You can then sell them, and there's a little graph when you try to sell it saying how much it's been worth over time, the frequency of when it sells at certain prices and stuff. So that's what kind of what I was referencing here. Put the selling price of that card a penny under the section under user pays, and it will jump to the top of the list. And if they filter the cards right for a particular game, yeah. So you can have it 1 penny below or on the dot, and then you're like I put all mine on the dot, which is probably why mine are not selling. They will eventually. Min-max to your heart's content, and I'll promise you'll get at least a new AAA title on Steam during the winter, if not the summer sale. That's a good point. If you keep selling your trading card games and you play a lot of games, you can make money off it. That's for sure. But I think in reality, that there's a reason that Steam have this, right? Admittedly, they get a cut of all the prices that are on Steam. They get a cut. Like if you sell something for 7 pence, they'll get 2 pence, right? And you get 5. That's how they get a cut. But the real reason they do this is nothing to do with that money, because that's not that much. It's because if you have £2 sitting there in your wallet, you'll think, that AAA title I want, if that is normally $50, is down to 45. So if I get an extra $2 off, that's only 43. That's a bargain. So you'll spend 43 bucks of your own money because you're saving too, right? It's really not saving at that point. You're actually giving a lot more money than you actually saved. I know it's the case with me anyway. I think it's the case with most people on Steam sales. I find the same thing with Google. So if you do the Google surveys,
where you start making a little bit of money.
Yeah, they give you like 7 to 25 pence normally. I've had a couple that give me 50, 60p actually. But I've made a rule that I don't spend the money until I have at least £5, and that's usually 2 or 3 times a year that happens because I travel enough that it asks me about new locations a lot. So it's definitely worthwhile doing those because I don't, all the paid apps that I have, I don't put any money into, and you can do it for other stuff like Hearthstone. I think you can put money into that. So because you can say charge to my Google Play account when you buy your Hearthstone packs for real money, and it'll be like, oh, that's $3, and you'll be like, $3 is what I have in my Google account from doing these surveys. Thank you very much, and you enjoy a bunch of cards for free on Hearthstone. And that's what I do. But you can also do it with apps or whatever else, and music and films, I believe, too. So that's cool. Thank you for the tips, Cupcheck. Much appreciated. I hope you're enjoying the Steam sales and do not bankrupt yourself.
Yep, it is that time of year again, kids. Steam sales. I know I have picked up 2 titles so far, and trying to be good beyond that. Also, I still don't understand the cards thing. Granted, I have never sold one, and so I was looking. I have like 9 pages on my Steam thing of cards.
Yeah, it takes a while.
And I've got a lot of them have 3 or more in some of them. So I don't know how many cards I have. A bunch, because I still don't know what they're good for. I don't know. But anyhow, let's see. So now it is time for us to start talking about real news for the week of E3 and such, because we missed that. Actually, yeah. So hopefully everybody out there saw some of the things that was happening in this last couple weeks with E3, because it happened, I think, right before I was heading to Comic-Con. And so I was kind of watching it through there and after it was finishing, or after Comic-Con finished. And so there was a lot of news to be had. Each of the major manufacturers had some kind of press conference, as well as there's a lot of examples for press to go check out on the show floor. The main thing I wanted to bring up was some of the notes I took about the various conferences that were there. Watched them myself. I think I caught all of it eventually, caught up to all of it. And I was taking notes, kind of keeping in order of things to come. So with that, I'm going to be sharing, and people can follow along. On IGN, they put a site together. It was really good. That is a wiki for E3 2018. So I threw a link into the chat where you can play along. The main thing going into, starting off with the first one, which is EA, Electronic Arts, and what they did at E3. Theirs was interesting. I think they started off fine. Theirs was kind of funny because they had, I won't say any, like, to me, big highlights. And they had a bit of apology. So the one that I did like that came off kind of right up front was they showed Battlefield 5, their next big FPS, war title that to me looked good. I've enjoyed the Battlefield series throughout. I think they're solid games. And so that's one I will keep an eye on. It definitely looked pretty. It showed a few things that are kind of new and exciting about it, like being able to take static unit things that were kind of just there to help progress part of the battlefield one way or another, link them up to vehicles and move them around. Things like that, a little more dynamics, showed better destructibility of things like buildings and such, where a tank can actually run itself through a building. So if you have a sniper sitting on the top story of something, just drive a tank through the bottom floor and you'll probably take care of that. And some ability to build up like embankments and stuff, like where you're at, build up sandbags, stuff like that. So you can have a somewhat dynamic battlefield, which actually sounds pretty cool. Beyond Battlefield 5, they had, what was it? FIFA, basically all their sports series. FIFA 19, NBA Live 19, and Madden NFL 19 all hit. And for me, I did not care because sports balls. And in a sense, I think Madden, they try to push as being this big deal because, hey, we haven't had a Madden next long. But it's kind of like, yes, and your Madden this time is probably the same as your Madden the last dozen times. It's just a new roster. So I didn't see anything like compelling from any of those games that made it any more exciting than if you had one last year or the year before that. They did have some new titles that looked interesting. Unravel 2, follow-up to the original Unravel, looked pretty neat. It kind of had a little Big Planet feel to it, to me. But at the same time, being able to play it as a co-op game, which really sounded cool. And then another big one, which was Sea of Solitude, which, was one that I wish... The way they did the conference, I was disappointed. And the reason being is that the actual, like, they brought a lady out that was apparently the main designer or something behind it, and she talked about it for quite some time. Cool, no problem. All right, that works. But she never really gave a compelling argument or discussion of what the game was really about, just like how it was really neat to work on this and the story and everything like that. And then she went and finally introduced the game or showed gameplay of it, played the trailer, at which point it looked really good. And it's got this crazy kind of dark feel and feel to it that I thought was surprisingly good. So, Ken, where did you go? You were looking like you were sitting there quiet for a while, but maybe too quiet. Let's see. So yeah, hopefully Ken comes back. I don't know where he went. Anyhow, so that makes me think even more, Ken, that it wasn't on my end. That it was perhaps more yours that had issue, but we shall see. Anyhow, so hopefully Ken calls me back, and his Discord figures it out. In the meantime, let's see. I will just continue my coverage. So, Sea of Solitude actually looked really good. Like I said, it's one that... And maybe I can bring up the video so you guys can at least see what it looked like as I talk over it. Let's see. When I do this, I have to remember where it is on my screen.
So my computer restarted, and weirdly enough, you're still making the noise.
So it's even regardless, it's still not helping?
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe it's just the output on my end back to you somehow through... Because I restarted the audio engine again, and I don't know.
That helped.
Did it?
Yep, it's fixed.
So now I restarted it again, but maybe after the connection it actually worked this time. So
maybe
weird.
The restart for like a certain period so the buffer's clear or something like that?
I don't know. But at least I can do that. Interesting. So yeah, I was just talking to everyone about Sea of Solitude from EA. One of the beyond Battlefield, that was probably the only other game they announced that I found very interesting. It just had a great art style to it that I really want to see. So that one looked really cool. The other big thing is they did talk about Star Wars Battlefront 2, and it was basically a big apology that said like, "Hey guys, yeah. We had this thing out here that you guys should come back and play again. I know we kind of launched it bad, and DLC and loot boxes and stuff you guys hated. So we've added more. It's better now." So they had this big like apology thing they did. And I'll give credit. It actually looked pretty cool, but still. So that was...
Yeah, it's difficult to win back your audience after you've intentionally hurt them that way, you know?
Yes.
And I think that's happened a couple of times with the big companies, EA being one of them with the Star Wars stuff, right? I mean, they irrevocably hurt their sales there. Mainly the microtransactions and loot boxes probably more than make up for it, but still not making as much money as they'd hoped.
Well, and it's just one of those things, though, that they lost so much face in the industry amongst gamers, right? Where they're just like, we wanted to love this game. Why did you make us hate it? Uh-oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't hear anything.
Yeah, but you're about to.
Oh. I think we'll be all right. Don't stress it, Ken. So yes, that is all good. The reality of sharing space. I understand. But yeah. So the next conference that I saw was the Xbox conference, as it was called, but basically Microsoft. And I don't know, Ken, did you see any of the E3 coverage?
I did, yes.
Okay. So please jump in at any point with these, with ones you want. Because, like I said, EA wasn't a big one for me, but Microsoft I found interesting. I actually took a lot of notes on Microsoft. And so to start things off, I kind of did it in order of what I was watching, where I took notes on. The first one they showed was Ori. And Ori, Will of the Wisps, had kind of a neat just feel and look to it. It was basically the next Ori type game, and one of those kind of very pretty hand-drawn type setups. That one looked really cool. Then they showed, which I thought was cool, then they showed a new Metro game, which for anyone who's seen like FPS stuff and things like that, I am a huge fan of Metro. Metro as a series is just so well crafted and has such a good look and feel to it.
Actually saw an advert for that on YouTube before we were watching a different YouTube video yesterday, and it looks nice. I'm really cool.
I'm excited for it because I've always liked the Metros. I say that I only ever played the first one for the most part. I have the second one HD remastered sitting there waiting to be played, but like so much of my other backlog, I don't know if I'll ever get to it. So that one. Then let's see. As we went through it, Microsoft showed a ton, and I will talk about my initial reaction based on just the presentation of. They hinted at, showed the trailer for Fallout 76, but then they kept going past that, and they didn't really talk about it till like the end of the show. They showed a video of not really anything new from Kingdom Hearts 3, which from what I've seen, almost everyone I know is excited for. And I played the first Kingdom Hearts a little bit, never beat any of them, but seeing this one, I want to kind of go back and beat through the first two before this one comes out. I'm kind of excited for it.
I've heard big things from a lot of friends who are extremely excited for Kingdom Hearts 3, because I remember even in high school, a lot of my friends were like deeply in love with the Kingdom Hearts series in general. And I think this is not just something that's going to be enjoyable for new players. I think it's going to be something that'll be enjoyable for people with nostalgia as well.
It is,
even though I've never quite got it. I think the storyline is insane. I never played it myself, but when people try to explain it to me, I'm like, wait, what? What's the series about exactly?
Not understanding the Heartless and everything, and is villaining through this connected world of Disney and Square titles. Back and forth, yeah. Admittedly, I don't really know this full story behind it, but it seems really fun. And I do like exploring through the Disney worlds, at least in the first one that I played. I really enjoyed that. So we'll see. But that one looks great. I put a big smile, open face, like I am excited for that one. Then they showed a new Tomb Raider. And this is one where the reboot of Tomb Raiders I've been very excited for. I enjoyed the heck out of the first one. In fact, on Steam sale, I did pick up the second one, Rise of the Tomb Raider. And so I'll hopefully play through and enjoy that one, and we'll see if that keeps my interest up for the next one they announced, because I like the look and feel. Whatever they're doing for it that's giving it kind of this more realistic, in-depth, kind of like gritty thing for it just makes it so good. So good. And the copy's coming in there saying, Kingdom Hearts lore is hilarious. You should see the charts that people have made. And it says, also Axel. Which is one of the characters I think people really love from it. They showed a new skating game called Session, it looked like. And I was trying to decide if this was like a new Tony Hawk or a new version of the other one that was a major one called Skate. But this one seems to be its own something, which I'm curious about because I surprisingly have enjoyed skating games, like a lot. And so I'll be very curious to see how this one plays out. It looks pretty. They showed updates for Black Desert, or basically that Black Desert is coming to console, although I heard it already was, and so maybe this is just DLC. I'm not quite sure. It looked very pretty, so that announcement I didn't fully understand. And then they showed what? Devil May Cry 5, which I've heard a lot of mixed about.
Yeah, so the Devil May Cry series started off
like really good, right? Like the first two or three
the
were
first game was
two were
really
pretty good.
Fun.
I've heard they kind of
it was cheesy as hell, right? I mean, like, the main character was Dante, was just this pizza eating badass who doesn't care about anything and just has these magic demon powers. And it was cool. It was good fun to play, but you had to take it with a pinch of salt. It was a bit like playing Duke Nukem in a sense. The guy was just so generic, I guess. Like he was just shirtless all the time, but wore a jacket for some reason. Like what's going on? Why is he such a show off? But it was a really fun game to play, and the games over time became more, I don't know, more.
I heard just over the top. Like
what did you say?
I heard over the top.
Yeah, more ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, I played all the ones through 1 through 4, and I enjoyed them in decreasing order. But they were still fun. They're just a bit ridiculous.
Interesting.
I like the whole storyline with Virgil, which was Dante's brother, I believe. But the whole thing with, I think it's Nero, the guy in the fourth one, didn't really make much sense. It's like somebody said, you know what would be really cool if we had a guy with a demon arm, and everybody else was like, yeah, sold. And then they were like, okay, how are we going to shoehorn that in? Oh, I know. And they just did. They just shoehorned it right in there.
Interesting. So yeah, I kind of heard that I don't know, that people were like, oh, this is cool, and they're like, So we'll see. But yeah, Devil May Cry was definitely one that was kind of a big one on the list. Then what else did I have on mine? Tunic actually looked really cute and adorable. It was kind of an indie title. I think it even stated that it was made by one person, I think, maybe. That was one, because the Xbox or Microsoft one I actually got to watch kind of live. We were watching the announcement live as Copy and I were both talking over it, essentially, kind of keeping up with our feelings of that one. And when Tunic came up, all we could think was, oh, this is like, Zelda, but as a fox.
I heard this,
because basically the main character looks like Link with green tunic and all. The show with Tunic, it's kind of like this isometric view, but it's a fox, and so it's cute and adorable. And at the same time, I really want to check it out because it looked so much fun. And so yes, as Copy has coined, it's Link Fox. But it looked good. It looked like a great blending of several of the kind of gameplays that have gone through in the Zelda series. So that one looked pretty fun. Jump Force, another game that came up that looked interesting as well. Now, Ken you might not find the same appreciation, but this one was one that basically looked like a huge three-dimensional fighting game, kind of in the world of the Dragon Ball Z Force type fighters. But it wasn't just Goku. It was one where they showed multiple characters from different series, and in a way it was almost a joke like this should be, what was it, Shogun? Oh, what's the company that has them all? It's one of the magazine companies that does all of the same, like Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, all those kind of titles all come out in it, because apparently they're making a fighting game all together. Yeah, there it is, Shonen Jump. And so they showed Goku, they showed Frieza, they showed Naruto, they showed the main character from One Piece. I'm trying to think who else they kind of threw in there as who'd be fighting amongst each other. And at the very end, odd to me was they showed Light and Ryuk from Death Note. So don't know how they're going to tie all those together. But a big anime fighting game, which looks crazy, and I'm kind of interested. So that one looks fun. They also showed, they showed Dying Light 2. If anyone remembers the first Dying Light, it's kind of a fast zombie game where it dealt with a lot of parkour and running around buildings and stuff like that from a first-person perspective. This one is more of the same, I guess. And so I was kind of like, it looks pretty. Your parkour zombie game, sure. They showed, and I picked this one out pretty darn quick, Just Cause 4. Where the big flying around an island, and I think I picked it out right away when they showed the main character, what it was, coming off with a parachute on the back and then switching to like a squirrel suit flying down. I was like, this must be a Just Cause game. Has to be. And sure enough, Just Cause 4. Looked very pretty, and I say this off initial because I've also seen some follow-up videos that talked more about specific games. But in that case, if you like Just Cause, you're probably going to be wanting Just Cause 4, like way more. It just looks like bigger and more of the same. They showed one of my favorite little, not teaser really, but kind of teaser trailer, Gears of War Pop. Did you see that one, Ken? Gotcha. And in Gears Pop, it was kind of crazy because they came out like this is going to be the next Gears of War, and they show the little like wall and everything, and then boom, 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 pops up, and then you see the little pop Funko characters of the Gears of War characters pop out of it. Like, what? And from there they go and sure enough start shooting things out, and it just looked adorable. And so with that, let's see, I think there's a potential for the franchise that because it felt almost like they were doing the look and feel that you get from the various Lego games. And so if they're able to capture kind of that feel of the fun and silly nature of the Lego games, but with a whole different set of things using Pop Funko characters. They have a huge IP like stash they could go into. There are so many Pop Funkos out there that if they could start pulling in those different titles, they can make games about anything and do crossovers and things like that, the same as they do with the Lego games. So that could be super interesting. So I'm kind of curious to see more in the actual gameplay of what they're trying to do with it. It's just interesting idea, right? And we'll see. It may be completely lost on people, but I think the potential of it is huge. They also showed then an actual thing of Gears of War 5, which looked good. Although it's funny because
I haven't seen that, but that looks. I'm interested because I love the original. Did you say Gears of War 5 now?
Yes.
We're on 5.
Yes.
Holy crap! I remember when the original being impressed by it.
Well, and that's the thing. They've always been beautiful, right? Every single one of them. And I love the Gears of War series because of the co-op play and such, because they always were doing split screen, and you could co-op, and it was just fun, gritty, weighty kind of play to it. This one was interesting because it's not going to be following the main characters we're used to. It actually breaks off with a female protagonist who's being helped along with another gentleman that's supposed to be watching her because they don't fully trust her, as she has been exposed to some of the evil in the past. And as they run through, what's interesting is the main villain or kind of creatures you're fighting seem to be an infection that has come through. And for me, when I saw it, the first thing that came to mind was the Flood from Halo, just because it had that same sense of overtaking things and come rushing at you. Anyhow.
I think I read that in one of the YouTube comments, funnily enough. I think somebody said something similar.
Yeah, and so that one I was like, oh, interesting. And then for the Microsoft one, and this is part of it because some of the other sessions show some of the same games, but went in more depth. But from the Microsoft one, their big like ending title, which was so good, was, and they showed it in a way that it was almost, they were trying to make it out as though it was like hacking their own signal type thing. But it came in and it is Cyberpunk 2077. And so Cyberpunk, once I started seeing the trailer, I was like, oh, this has to be.
Pretty. Yeah, it looks very pretty.
Well, and I was like, okay, this has to be either, like, for me it was either this is Cyberpunk or Shadowrun. Because they're both very similar type of tabletop RPG type games that I played back in the 80s. And the more I looked, I was like, no, it's not Shadowrun. What's that other one? And as soon as it came, I was like, oh, Cyberpunk, yes, that's it. That one's very compelling looking because the source material is wonderful. Futuristic, hacker world, basically. And the more I've heard little tidbits about what they're trying to do with the game itself, I'm excited. And so we'll hopefully get more details coming out. But that one was...
I don't know anything about it. All I know is that I've seen the artwork freaking everywhere. I can't escape it. It's on Twitter, it's on Facebook, it's on IGN, it's on YouTube, it's everywhere.
I think people are pretty evenly or consistently excited for it. Like, this is one that people want to see, and they really want to catch more of it. So I'm going to be looking out for more than that. It was, to me, really cool. So in general, the Microsoft conference had good content, and there were things I was excited for throughout it. But it was also kind of... what I want to say, not that it was lackluster. The presentations to geeks and gamers from different companies ebbs and flows. Some are better than others. In a way, I'd say I think they were better than EA. EA, I don't know if they had an intern running it or something at the front, but it was just awkward to me in the EA one. I did not love it. Microsoft's was better handled. In general, liked it. They had some other quick announcements of things that were coming. They had a video showing Crackdown 3, which I have enjoyed the past Crackdown games. They're big and over the top. This one didn't look like
I didn't realize that. I'm excited for that.
Well,
I didn't know that was coming.
It was weird because they didn't show like enough to make me really excited for it. It was just kind of a trailer that was in the world of, but it didn't show like how it's improved or how it's more so. So it's like, well, Crackdowns have been fun, so I'm going to keep an eye on it. But the trailer itself didn't sell me. It was just kind of
something you don't ever play for the storyline in a way.
Yeah. But it was like, okay, cool, we got that, fine. There was also a show of Nier Automata is coming out with a new version, essentially a Gods and Something edition, which is basically the DLC rolled into it for the old price. Which is fine. I don't know if it's going to be an actual enhanced version of it in any way. I think it's just like the kind of repackaging of all the stuff that's come out for it as one buy. That they showed Forza Horizons 4 for race fans, which the Horizon series is interesting open world racing. This one's more of the same, but also adding an ability to easily set up random races with people online, so that could be cool. We Happy Few, which I didn't quite get. That's fine. The Division 2, which we'll wait till the Ubisoft discussion to talk about that one. And what was it? Somewhere in here it says Battletoads are back, but I missed that one. Huh. Anyhow, so that was basically Microsoft's. And feel free to chat in there your thoughts on any of these as we come through. So this will be an interesting one because, God, I almost want to save it for the last, but because of quality. In fact, I am going to skip this one and go to the next one, which is Ubisoft, since I mentioned it. Ubisoft, they had their conference, and it wasn't good. Like, it wasn't bad, but the presentation just was like meh the whole time. Now, I was jaded a little bit because of where I saw others. They started off with this whole music thing playing and a band coming in, which led into this big, over-dramatic, long entrance to say, look, we have Just Dance. Yay? Like, okay, cool. Then they showed Division 2, which was even more lackluster, because I don't think anybody cheered for that one. It was just like, yeah, but Division 1 didn't really work. You know, it was pretty. Loved the atmosphere of that game, but for whatever reason, people just couldn't play it right, and so it lost its interest.
It was... I liked the idea of it more than I liked the actual gameplay. The gameplay was very dull. It really felt like it was made for people with big fingers who played on console. Like, like it wasn't even as if there was a lot. Like I felt like even if you used a console controller, you probably wouldn't be using all the buttons. Like it felt very.
It was very generic. They tried to do this weird MMO-esque thing where things had more hit points than they did. It definitely wasn't like a skill shooter type thing at all. It was, you know, because you had to just do the DPS, and it was kind of had those roles, but not. So, yeah, I just couldn't quite figure out what they're trying to show with it. Let's see, Skull and Bones, which I think was a naval one that they were talking about doing a open beta for. One of the things that was kind of interesting is they're doing an expansion for Honor, which is the kind of medieval / whatever, but slice and cut game that you have. And they actually released the base version of it for free for anyone who downloaded it at that time. I don't know if it still is, but at least at that point that was free.
I think it is for free. I have it in my library, I believe, but I don't think I ever bought it.
Yeah, so that one's out there. Is if you go to Ubisoft's whatever their launcher is. They also had Starlink Battle for Atlas, which is an odd-looking one. It's kind of a space exploration game, somewhat shooter. Hard to capture for me fully. I wasn't like blown away by it. The more interesting thing is that they brought in Star Fox from Nintendo to be part of it and its cast, and so they actually had during the presentation they gave an award to who was it? Miyamoto was there representing Nintendo, and so he got some award from them. They talked about the time of Star Fox, so cool. They showed a new version of Trials, and for people who don't know that one, it's the kind of motocross game. Actually reminds me almost like an old Excite bike, but it's the tricks kind of one where you have to do very unique manipulation of a motorcycle through its throttle, its braking, and its tilt to kind of get through these obstacles. A lot of fun. I've always liked the Trials game. This one looks even more entertaining because it looks like it's a multiplayer element where you're side by side on it. Could be a lot of fun. They showed a new Nintendo tie-in game that was Mario plus Rabbids DLC for Donkey Kong Adventure. I'm still not sure what that was about. And
that does not sound appealing to me in the slightest.
I didn't see anything in the gameplay that made sense to me. I was just like, okay, you just threw a bunch of junk together? Not sure. They made another game called Transference, which was a VR horror game, and another one they opened up called The Crew 2, which is another, I think, racing game with the crew. But as a whole, they were just like, So Ubisoft was fine. They had things they showed, but it wasn't good. Then I want to get into something I thought were a little lackluster. Somewhat because a lot of it had been seen elsewhere in the conference with other developers, things like that. But what got me... it sounds like... I guess on my end there might be some fan noise as well coming through. So, need background music maybe. We'll see. I know my computers... Yeah, probably on my end with my computers, or how much fan noise is. I got a message from El Campo saying that there's noise when I stop talking. Let's see.
Okay.
No, this is good.
I'm muting myself in between speaking, so I'm pretty sure it's not from my end.
Yeah. No, that's good to know. Actually, that's where I was trying to turn up the gate a little bit, and if I wasn't wrong before, I'll turn it back up a little more, so that hopefully it cuts off some of that and you don't hear it as much in the background. Let's see. But Squeenix, theirs that came through was... Let's see, what was it? With Squeenix, they showed some of the same things. So they showed Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the next Tomb Raider one, which looks gorgeous. Again, next Tomb Raider, that engine's great. They showed an expansion for Final Fantasy XIV, and they showed some kind of like, what is it, Monster Hunter World crossover event for people that are playing Monster Hunter World. So I know a lot of people should be excited about that. I did not get the awesome adventures of Captain Spirit. It's, I guess, free and kind of this story-driven thing of a kid that's imagining he's a superhero and he's in his bedroom putting a cape on type thing. Again, no gameplay, no idea what it is. They showed Dragon Quest, 11? Which is a thing, next Dragon Quest if you're into those. And then again, they showed more, which was already shown at the Xbox One about Just Cause. They showed a newer, longer trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3, which is good. And they announced one called The Quiet Man, which I want to say is the big Kojima one. Was that theirs? Or that might have been in a different one, but that nobody quite understands what it's actually about. It just looks really pretty and over the top and crazy. My challenge, though, is that Squeenix didn't actually come out and talk. All they did was show some trailers and a demo, and so it wasn't. They used their time they had set aside for conference just to kind of show some stuff, and they didn't actually have anyone on stage or talk. So that bothered me a bit. It felt like a wasted opportunity. And basically, I would complain the same thing Nintendo ended up doing. Then Sony out there, they showed us Last of Us Part 2. They show it, which was, if you like Last of Us, that one looks great. One that looked really interesting. So Sony actually did pretty good. I give them kind of like probably, they're somewhere in like second, third for how well they did in their conference and what they showed.
Which is pretty important because they've been doing pretty crap in the news recently with all the crossplay with Fortnite type stuff. So.
Oh gosh, yeah. There's a whole story about how people are, taking advantage of the fact that Sony doesn't like to play with anybody. And so the fact that companies like Nintendo and Microsoft have gotten together to make commercials that specifically call them out. And so there's that.
Well, you say specifically to call them out. It's specifically to say, look how we're not doing that. Look how much we're better. Buy our stuff.
Yeah, well, it's just saying, hey, we actually are doing the stuff that fans want. What? They aren't. So there's that, yeah. But Ghost of, what is it? Tsushima? Which looked like a follow-on almost to like Bushido Blade or something like that, but a samurai-style game that looks gorgeous. Just pretty. And that's one that I'm really looking forward to. So that one came out where I was pretty excited about that. What else did they have? Another Call of Duty, Black Ops 3. They mentioned that it would be coming to the PlayStation Plus with free updates and stuff. So it's kind of a combination, what's just going to be available. But again, Sony's is pretty much all about the PS4. They showed some stuff about Destiny 2. One of the big highlights that I think people jumped on when they started seeing it, and I recognized it pretty quick, was their Resident Evil 2 remake. Full update in HD of probably, I'd say, what was thought of one of the best Resident Evil games, Resident Evil 2. So that one looks pretty interesting. We'll see if it's like the original gameplay, or are they trying to do anything modernization of it like they have with the last several Resident Evils, or are they going to stay true to what made it so good? We'll have to see. Nioh 2, which I never played Nioh, so I don't know much about that one. I think it looked pretty as such. Control, another one that I have. Let's see. I don't know if the media source play. There's something saying that it doesn't like my browser right now as I try to bring up a streaming. Nope. Let's see. Again, more Kingdom Hearts 3. They all showed little bits of that. Trevor Saves the World, which is one that really I didn't get. It's a PSVR game that's made from the people that made Rick and Morty. And it just looked like it was Rick and Morty, but with different skins. So I didn't get it. And so, yeah, I don't get it. Anyhow, then what was the big one? Okay, so I think the big one was Death Stranding. Is that the one? Yeah, so it wasn't. Yeah,
so that weird thing, I had to explain what that was to Kitten today, and she was like, "What's this whole thing going on with like something Kenobi or something?" I was like, "Okay, nothing to do with Star Wars." Hideo Kojima.
Yes.
And I kind of explained it to her as basically that company screwed him over massively. He left because he likes having human rights, and they didn't like that. They made a crappy game after he left and didn't do well with the Metal Gear Solid series because they don't have the main guy behind it. And then he went off and made this crazy looking game that nobody quite gets what it's about or has any understanding of what it is. But he's got some big names behind it. The dude from The Walking Dead, everybody's favorite character. And there's a lot of weird maternal scenes that nobody quite understands with babies. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
It's just like, and people are excited. I'm like, yeah, for some reason.
It's creepy looking in so many ways, and at least in this one, they showed the longer trailer and stuff. They showed where some of the potential villain, I guess, or creatures you're worried about in this one, that were basically shadowed and you couldn't really see them. They showed actually part of the in the trailer, one of the story elements where you run into this gal, kind of the first.
Sorry, I think I worked out why you keep muting for me. I think it's because you're far away from the mic. Can you sit a little bit closer?
Oh, so is it actually cutting off for me then, or is it just?
I think Discord is cutting off so that I don't hear you. But I think it's still recording, right?
Okay, that would make sense actually, because Discord has its own setting for that, besides the one that I'm bringing in from the mixer. Ha! So that would actually make more sense. Sorry, Ken. I will be upfront and personal here. Yes, you're right, actually, St. Uther. ShowX would be better with more copy. We should bring her in more now that she's got herself set up and the ability to stream. And now that we're on Discord, it'd probably work. Yes, I need to set up in one more layout, and we'll have to play with that to set up so I can easily bring in like a group of people to chat. I think I know how, so we'll have to play with that. Maybe after the show. We'll see. Anyhow, but so this one looks so weird, but they showed where like they knew something was coming and they had to be quiet, and you see footprints kind of go around in the dirt or around them. And it's actually kind of an interesting note of it because they showed and it looked like things were growing in the steps of the footprints. And so you're like, what's this? And kind of through the end of the trailer part, you come to realize that it's not so much that whatever this thing does causes things to grow, is so much as it causes a life cycle to extend, like really quickly pass through time, because it touched some other things that died very quickly and stuff like that. So it almost like wherever it touched, it was accelerating the life cycle there. So interesting. And that's where, yeah, it'll be curious to see where it goes. It looks very pretty. They showed some creatures, and this is a part, again, where they showed the kids in some way, the little, like, baby you carry around as a guy with an umbilical, and how it kind of was able to plug into something to power it, and in doing so, it caused, like, you know, what? It caused, like, you could see the shadows of the creatures you're trying to avoid, and yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of questions about Death Stranding.
So I have to admit, I've not seen this trailer. I was just telling her what I knew so far, which was all the weird baby stuff. If there's the thing that it makes your life cycle increase, it kind of makes sense to carry around a baby. Maybe you can turn into the baby, and that's like your new life. Like you literally carry around. That's a cool idea, actually. Like you always think about like Mario. How many lives do you have?
Good.
In this game, you literally have a baby as a life.
Oh God!
So you die, or whatever, and it grows quickly and then jumps off. That's I kind of like the idea. It's like a very morbid view, a macabre view of having lives in a game.
It'll be interesting to see how this one progresses. I really don't know what the point is. I don't think anyone does yet. So yeah, there's that. And then they followed out their sequence with a clip of Marvel's Spider-Man, a new Spider-Man game that actually looks pretty good. I think could be a lot of fun. I know some friends that I was talking to when they were over watching it were super excited to see it. Could do a quick clip on Nintendo, because they did basically the same thing that Squeenix did, in that they just showed some videos and didn't really actually show up and do a announcement of anything. And so with them, some of the stuff they showed was Daemon X Machina, Hollow Knight, Fortnite, and a lot of these, which was actually, I will give Nintendo credit, as they did it, like Hollow Knight and Fortnite, they said, oh, and by the way, these are available now, so that as people were watching, they could go and start downloading the games and get hold of them, Fortnite being free. They showed Killer Queen Black, don't know. They showed Overcooked 2, which is actually somewhat kind of cute and exciting, because Overcooked is a fun multiplayer game. Played it actually on my birthday celebration just for fun, and it is chaotic, but was a good time. They showed a new Fire Emblem, 3 Houses, for people that like the Fire Emblem games. I know a lot of people around me enjoy them, or at least the characters from them, if not the game themselves. Because Fire Emblem is an interesting strategy-type game that have tried playing, but haven't really gotten into. They showed Project Octopath, which I know some people were interested in, but I don't remember specifically which one that was. I'd have to go back and look at it. Dragon Ball Fighter Z, as well as Xenoblade Chronicles, all games that have been out, but now coming to the Switch. They also showed a little bit more about the new Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu / Eevee game, which is the first full, like, Switch-ready Pokemon game that's coming that they're using elements from Pokemon Go in, but not fully. You're going to be able to put a character you have in a Pokeball controller that take with you and kind of use it like a Neopet or something. A little, like, not Neopet, but, Touchgama or something like that. And then, but they don't say it's going to plug directly back into the game. It's going to have its own area, so we're not sure about that one. But it's Pokemon, and people are super excited for it just for the actual Pokemon game itself, let alone the extra side things. And they have even a part where you can kind of like take the controller Pokeball thing and throw it motion.
Yeah.
So
I found an interesting fact today. Did you know that Pokemon is actually what was it made more money than?
Oh, well, they said it was like the top gaming series ever. I thought it said.
Well, yeah, but it was something. I can't remember what it was. It was a franchise that has made more money than.
I thought it was any other gaming franchise, but yeah.
I'll find out and I'll get back to you.
So yeah, because I just saw a note about that as well, that it was like that they've made more money than anyone when it comes to gaming using Pokemon as a franchise as a whole. Pokemon the franchise has just made tons. Then the
Pokemon has made 15, in fact more than that, $17 billion more than Star Wars ever has.
Oh gosh.
So it's bigger than Star Wars.
Then
guess what third is in that one? Yeah, I don't think you would guess actually. It's Hello Kitty.
Ha! Now again, these
I would never have guessed
overall franchises, I think, is what's the big thing about this. Okay, Octopath Traveler was kind of this side-scroll RPG fighter kind of thing that looked shiny and pretty, but it looks like so many other games have come out that have that look that I didn't see anything special in it. That's why that one didn't stick for me. Then the other big ones that actually did get announced were Super Mario Party. The new one actually looked pretty cool. I haven't played a lot of Mario Parties, but that one looked fun, so I'd actually be kind of down for that one. And then, let's see. Then, after that, they also had, which is probably even bigger, the biggest announcement they had of the night, even though it wasn't really an announcement, just a trailer, but was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was revealed, which said that it showcases every single character in a Smash Bros. Game ever returning to the series. And that includes Snake and Ice Climbers, and they'll have over 64 characters. So that's one where, as much as I continue to go through and say that Smash to me is the least of fighting games, that it is so much like it wants to be a serious fighting game in the mix of a button masher. And at the same time, it's the first version I've seen that compels me to actually kind of want to get a Switch and get a Smash game. Because I played Smash on my 3DS. Like, I starting to understand that it's got some complexity to it, but it was still like, But this one looks really cool, so we'll see. That one was probably the biggest thing about it. And they showed some Splatoon 2 expansion and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what they showed for Nintendo's. Again, Smash was probably the biggest announcement. Super Mario Party was equally a big one, but that was kind of their major thing for the night. And again, just a trailer. What I really wanted to get into, because that was all the others, and the one I skipped on purpose. So you guys say that about the Switch. I don't know. I just haven't been compelled. I need to play it more. I mean, I have one in the house I can try to mess with. I just haven't much. Like I said, I like to overcook. I haven't done much else. All right. Tell me, people, did you see Bethesda? Did you see the Bethesda conference?
So I did not see it, but I know some of the news from it. I didn't actually watch the conference.
Okay, because Bethesda knocked it out of the park. They knew what they were doing, and they put on a show for the media and fans watching online. They knew their audience and what to do. Now, I say this, not everybody that came on stage for Bethesda was great. You could tell a lot of them were not necessarily comfortable talking in front of everyone. But at the same time, they were good. And I did really kind of appreciate how they presented the things they did. So they came out and they jumped right on stage with one. They were hinting at, and they kind of joked about how the first title they were releasing was due to a leak that their good friends at Canadian Walmart, I think it was, had leaked by announcing or putting something in one of their print ads that essentially said this title was coming. And it was like, what? But then they came out and said, so who's ready for Rage? And like for me, I played the original Rage and loved the game, even though I didn't get in depth with it. The technology is great, but it required so much hard drive performance to actually be able to play it. But really cool stuff. Rage 2 they announced. I've seen some trailers on it before. And the funny part about the conference was when Bethesda brought it out, they brought out a band to play, to kind of like what looked like this huge metal band. And they played the most ridiculous song when it came out, and I can't even remember what it... Oh, gosh, I should find it. I highly recommend you check out the actual conference, even just for the beginning, but it was so good. That the audience, when they started listening to the band, were like, what is this? But by the end of it, you see them like bouncing their heads to it and such, like, okay. And it was just silly. There's at least one lady in the audience from the one I watched that was, the whole time, her face was just like, I don't get it. What? Where other people were starting to like, okay, this is hilarious. I'm enjoying this. And so it was a good time. That one was hilarious.
Freaking baby metal, man.
Well, so it wasn't baby metal though, right? It was just some random band they brought up, but it was so good. Theirs was entertaining. Anyhow, they showed Rage then, and Rage to me looked phenomenal, Rage 2, because they were showing these expansive worlds in this post-apocalyptic kind of thing, and they showed stuff in Rage 2, and this is something, the kind of thing that excites me about a game. They were showing things that I don't think you can do in a video game, right, with current technology, current engines, things like that. Because the thing that was famous about Rage 1 was they had this technology where they were able to do hypertextures, these massive megatextures that they textured, almost hand-textured the entire world of that level. The challenge was then they had to compress that texture and then deliver it to you fast enough to be able to use it. To do that, it took a lot of hard drive thrashing, and so unless you had an SSD years ago when it came out, you had to wait these huge loading screen, like in between level type things. And once it was loaded, the whole world, that whole level was loaded and it ran beautifully. But getting there really sucked. And there was a little thing still with the way it was decompressing the textures. If you turn too fast, you get this weird where it went from like, flat drawing to like full textured pop in. So I
think in the future, one day, right, we'll have, obviously it'll be in a way that everybody has a perfect computer and doesn't need to load or anything, and that'll be the ideal. We'll just have such fast computers we don't need to worry about it. But on the path there, I think a great medium solution will be a software-based one, where we work out what somebody's current hardware is. Like if somebody has a really good SSD, or somebody has really good processor and cache, or if somebody has really good amounts of RAM and it's really fast RAM, that kind of thing. Then the game loads based on that. So if you're the kind of person with really good amount of RAM but a terrible HDD, it will load everything in there at the start of the game, and then you never need to load anything again. But if it's the opposite, then it'll just always be buffering and constantly be loading it slowly from the really slow hard drive into your fast RAM. That's the way it should be done, right?
You're asking for, I mean, that sounds amazing and epic. Now, I will tell you, yikes. But essentially what you're saying is being able to do some kind of multi-tiered optimization engine that allows you to maximize whatever you do have available. Which would be epic. I just can't for the life of me think how you'd even start.
Impossible. We're in a world where we have, distributed computing, where you can have multiple computers working on one problem together, where we have Bitcoin mining with multiple rigs working together towards the same goal. We have multi-core processors that all work on the same thing in one machine, like 4 things at once or 8 things at once. It exists. We have threading. We have multiprocessing.
We do.
It all exists. We just need to...
We do, but those are all also like optimized for a very specific task. And that's what I mean. It'd be interesting to see. You teased a level of where I could see things could happen towards that way. I just don't think we're even close to what it would take to do that, but it's an interesting concept. Like, I love the idea of it.
But we said years ago the idea of streaming a game, not as in like streaming online, as in like streaming a game from a server to play it on your computer would be impossible, and it's happening. People do it now.
It is, and so I'm not saying it's impossible. I just think that concept would take so much tweaking because I don't think it's been done in industry yet, right? Not just gaming, but because everything right now is not that single-threaded, but it's optimized towards a certain type of processing, and nobody, I think, has made because it's honestly the idea of cloud computing as a whole.
I'm sure it exists somewhere. The idea of flexible processing. I'm sure that exists somewhere. It must do. I'm going to have to look into that.
I mean, the concept is beautiful. It is daunting to think about what it would take to accomplish that. That's where it's hitting my brain. Like, that'd be tough. But I understand the concept, and it's a really cool idea. Anyhow, so So anyhow, Rage was great, and they showed like fast. One of the things that got me is they showed like anything you see in the world that's a vehicle, you can get in it, and you can drive it. They showed that they were rendering the world in such a way that as they're racing through it, it looked just as gorgeous at speed as it did when they were on the ground shooting people. They brought back the Kroll style like blade that you throw that's like a boomerang that decapitates people, stuff like that, and comes back to you. They have that in it again. So just all the things that were great about Rage, but amplified it more. So I'm excited for that. They continued kind of that high tempo thing and jumped right into the other things they enjoyed, which they showed like Elder Scrolls Legends, which is a card game that you can get today. Download both mobile and ties into all your accounts, so you can stay in the same one. So like Hearthstone, but from Elder Scrolls, and they said it's been a massive game. They showed an update to Elder Scrolls.
Idea, but again, card games are kind of,
it's a CCG.
You're competing against Hearthstone. Good luck.
Yep. Well,
magic.
They showed that it actually has a very big user base. So who knows? But yeah, it is competing against every other CCG, Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone, anything else that's out there that's card. It is competing with. I played it real quick for a little bit. And I was like, okay, that's fun, but I'm not a CCG guy. They also showed a interesting mashup thing for Elder Scrolls Online Somerset, basically leading up to the next expansion is going to come out. Because I still have the comment back where I tried Elder Scrolls Online when it first came out and just didn't like it. Now again, I don't like MMOs, and so it takes a lot for me to like an MMO. But man, I'll give them credit.
Elder Scrolls MMO sucked. It was boring.
Well, when it came out initially, it was not good, right? It was just another skin of every other.
Boring. I played it last month. It's boring.
Okay, that's what. Well, I was curious because the roll-up video they showed of some of the big events and storyline things that happened in ESO made it look epic enough so that I was itching to like check it out again.
To be fair, I'm coming out from watching Kitten Features play Skyrim, and then she's like, "I'm going to try Elder Scrolls Online,"
Oh,
and
no.
then she closes the application on the PlayStation, puts in the disc for
no.
ESO, loads it up, and then she's like, wow, this is like a crap version of Skyrim with missing loads of features, and it's not as fun, and you're nowhere near as epic, and it's just it's a crap.
Well, again, it's an MMO. It's not an actual like Bethesda-style game traditionally. So challenge, right? Anyhow. So it made it look epic from an MMO's perspective. I still don't think I can MMO. They then showed that they're making a new version of Doom, which... People, if you haven't played Doom, where you been? It's on summer sale right now. Go get it. It's so good.
I'm tempted. They actually sell it quite cheap for PlayStation as well.
Good.
We have a store called CEX, which is intentionally named so that people call it sex because then it's cool and hip.
Fair.
And they start like a second-hand shop for electronics and games mainly. It's sort of aimed at the younger population, as you can tell by the name. But they actually sell Doom for I think like £15, so you can even pick it up for consoles pretty cheap now.
Nice, yeah, it's $15 on Steam sale right now. If you haven't played Doom, it's so good. I need to go back through and finish playing it. And so them announcing a follow-up to that was like, yeah, do that. They then pushed again for Quake Champions because they want people to play online and play some Quake. It's fine, it's Quake. I don't care as much. But it was a solid thing. Then they showed Prey Moon Crash DLC, so a DLC for Prey, as well as they're adding a VR mode. One of the things that was really cool about Bethesda is they showed at least 3 or 4 titles that are VR enabled, because they talked about Fallout VR, they talked about Doom VR, now they're talking about Prey VR, and so I give a lot of credit out to Bethesda for actually supporting VR and making games that are really good in it. They talked about, and I've heard more and seen more about Skyrim VR and stuff like that, and how well it can be played, so yeah, that looked really good. They showed a real interesting thing then, a sequel to Wolfenstein, their newer series coming out, that doesn't take place at the time of World War II. Instead, this takes place apparently in the 80s, and it is focusing on, oh gosh, what's his name, Blastowick, the main character, his twin daughters, as they come up through the world at this point. And so what's really cool about this is it's set up to be a co-op sequel. I love the fact that they're doing co-op. Like, thank you. Thank you for that. We need more games that are built from the ground up to support multiplayer play.
The last good game that comes to mind that I can think of is actually just co-op and not general multiplayer. Like, there's a lot of good multiplayer games out there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Not saying otherwise. There's a lot of great ones, including ones that are kind of co-op-y. But I mean, like, just true 2 people, 3 people, 4 people co-op.
Yep.
The last one I think of was Portal 2.
Portal was damn
That's
good.
the first one that comes to mind.
Its multiplayer was really good. I mean, it had both a solid single player, but
Triton as well.
Trine had a really good multiplayer setup with up to 3, stuff like that. There's a few games out there, so that just sounds exciting, especially as an FPS, because it kind of goes back to what I liked about the Gears of War series doing 2-person, stuff like that, where if it's really tied in there, it'll be so good. Which lends itself now when they actually started showing or talking about their big title type stuff, right? So they showed Fallout Shelter is now available on Switch. That was a big one, and that game's available all over. Awesome. Been downloaded, they said, more than anything else that they've made.
I really liked Fallout Shelter when it first came out, but I really felt like it was just a, hey, look, Fallout 4 is coming soon. Get hyped. That's all. I don't want to play it now. Like,
so
it just feels like so past its age.
I played it until I got my first full shelter, and then it was just repetitive events. I was like, well, no, I don't care. I've already built out my shelter. Yay. And I didn't play it anymore. But it's a solid
Never
little game.
Transactions which suck balls.
Yeah, I avoid any of those. So if there was more, I was going to miss it. They also showed, which was one of the ones I was excited for, was Elder Scrolls Blades. Because Elder Scrolls Blades, which apparently to me, I just thought of Infinite Blade, if you've played that mobile game. Super pretty, action, sword fight, block kind of game. This is, to me, an extension of that, but it was really neat that they showed it as Elder Scrolls Blades is going to be a mobile platform game that you can play on every platform. So you can play it on your smart device, but you can play it also on your full top-end gaming rig, your console, and in VR. The same game against the same people. Which is
pretty cool.
Talk about cross-platform. What? And the same accounts.
That's what cross-platform should be. Well, almost. It's not quite good enough, but it's getting there. That's impressive.
Well, this is going to be like that first example of someone really trying to do it. And so I'm really excited to see what they're going to be able to come up with. And with that, and it was so fun doing it because this was the main, I always forget his name, Todd Howard, the main guy who does, basically Bethesda's big stuff, who's been on stage and is comfortable with it. Some of the other developers were a little like, Todd Howard came out and just owned the stage. Like, I got this. Watch. Knew what he was talking about, knew what he was selling.
Todd Howard memes, by the way, they're very funny.
Oh, he was so good, though. It worked. So Elder Scrolls Blades, the thing he talked about that was hilarious, he's like, and look, not only is this, a game that you can play on your mobile device, you can play it in portrait mode. He's like, that way you can play it with a single finger and people won't know if you're texting or gaming. It just,
that's pretty funny.
Silly, but he actually said it's like, in those instances when you need to have a free hand, and then people in the audience said stuff, and he's like, you are all dirty, you said that. That is not what I said. And then, but it's very self-aware, just such a good presentation with it. And just, it looked gorgeous. And he kept touting, you have not seen anything that looks this good. You just haven't. And so I'm excited to see what that will end up being. And all that leads up to kind of the big announcement. And there were a couple teasers after, which was Fallout 76. Where in the Microsoft one, they showed just the same trailer. In this one...
I call that the second biggest.
I don't think it was, though. So the other thing was teaser. So the end, right?
Teaser, which won E3.
No.
It was a teaser, which was more impressive than
win a
else.
dang thing. What? So, okay, the other things they showed, excitingly, a new potential IP called Starfield. No idea what it means. They just showed a space scene, and they talked about, we're making something totally new called Starfield. Awesome. We want something new. We like new IP. And then all they said is, we'd like to focus on things that are actually coming out this year, which is, again, one of the things that Bethesda was great at. Everything they showed was coming out this year. And then they showed, but we didn't forget, and we are working on, and they showed this tiny clip of just kind of going over the hills, and it said Elder Scrolls 6. And that was it. Don't tell me that was, the win of anything.
I didn't think it was coming. I thought they were just happy with the MMO, and I thought that was...
No, that was...
I always knew it'd be sensible for them to do it because Skyrim made so much money, but I thought they just
no.
The basket. But it seems like they're actually doing it, and
so,
I'm super...
Yeah, so it's exciting, but that's not the winner of anything. They just said, hey, yes, we are actually going to work on a new, Elder Scrolls game. Cool. But that's not an announcement. That's a tease of a tease. The actual announcement that won E3 was the fact that they explained what Fallout 76 is. And I say this, and here's why. Because Fallout 76 already looks like, and they didn't go into details about the engine or anything like that, but it is much more lush and vibrant than any Fallout game has been. Partly because it's earlier in the time frame before everything died. And so the nukes just went off, the radiation hasn't settled in and killed all vegetation, so you're one of the first vaults to open up coming out there, planned to have been opened first, and you're going into the world to now populate it. Because it's first thing new, there's no cities established. It's basically you're going into the raw wilderness in an area in Virginia, West Virginia, which is hills and nobody there anyways. And it's supposed to be 4 times bigger than anything else they've produced so far. So that's all very cool for the thing. The biggest part of it, though, is the fact that they finally kind of talked through this rumor about what it meant when they said that this was going to be a world that, how did they put it? They wanted to populate the world with nothing but actual people. And so in that, they said it's a multiplayer game. And this is something people have been dying from both Skyrim and Fallout series to have multiplayer. And what's neat about it is they're not doing it, and they said, this is not an MMO. This is not massive. This is not thousands of people playing together. It's not hundreds of people playing together. This is, it's dozens of people playing together. So we don't know what the actual number is, if it means you're going to be on a server that is like 20, 30 people. I'm hoping it's somewhere in the closer range to like 40 to 50 people.
That'd be cool, but it implies to me that they don't know yet.
Well, they just haven't said it yet. So we don't know. They may have a plan for it. They didn't give the actual specs of anything, but they just kind of put a range of what they're looking at. Because most of the people I've talked about who love those worlds in the depth have always said, but wouldn't it be more fun if I had at least one other person with me? And that's where I think they actually exceeded beyond people's expectations by saying it's not that you can just have 1, 2, 3, or 4 people with you. You could be in a world with dozens of people, and some of them will be friends, some won't. And of course, they also present it in like the most Bethesda way possible by putting it out with the little videos, what do they call it? But basically the Fallout training videos with the little Fallout guy.
Yeah, the emergency broadcasting system type.
Yeah, the little like, hey guys, the little animated stuff. That was so good. And this the big things, right? That it's going to be multiplayer, that you're still going to have building in it, but they're not going to limit you to building only on platforms that they've already set aside. You'll be able to build anywhere. Thank you, St. They're Vault-Tec videos. And that things will be destructible and things like that. They're probably going to take out the VAT system if it's going to be multiple people, because that way you don't stop time. But other than that, it looks like it's going to be everything Fallout. A little bit prettier, bigger world, things like that, with the ability to play against, with people, however you kind of choose, and that the places you build, you'll actually be able to build like blueprints for build this area, and if you need to, you can collapse it back down and take it with you and set up somewhere else, which is equally cool. So I might be more into the building because I hated Fallout 4 trying to build up all these different settlements. I lost interest. But if I could build one portable base, I could see spending some time on that versus trying to make Sims in Fallout, right? Well, it's something people love, the building aspect, right? It's just something that didn't compel me.
I don't know. I think they're focusing on the wrong thing here. I mean, like, I think admittedly, I'm going to give them a chance, right? I mean, I don't know. Okay. First of all, let's just go over a quick brief history of building in games, right? So we have The Sims. We have Sim City, right? So we have this sort of residential idea where it's just a house. And then we have the sort of city idea where it's the macro level and you're building cities. Then we have the more importantly, the kind of builders like Minecraft, where you build whatever you want. It's truly creative system, right? It's its own fantastic thing. Then the next big important builder that we had, away from the sort of weird survival builder genre, was Fortnite. Fortnite was the next biggest builder game that came out. It really was. It's massive, right? It's huge. It took the world by storm. It took the gaming world by storm, anyway, certainly. And that's a different type of game building again. And I have a feeling that Fallout's kind of trying to do its own building niche. Somebody in Bethesda has said, look what happens with this. Building has these different things where people really enjoy building, but it's not a niche that's specific to one genre. It seems to be different genres. So let's push this survival RPG, maybe have added a multiplayer element, because that seems to work quite well with all these different ones, and see how that goes. I didn't forget SimCity. I said at the very beginning, I said Sims and then SimCity. That's the second one I said. I said it's macro level. That says cup check in IRC. All right, IRC, the Twitch chat. So my point is that I think it's just... it could be good. It could be big. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be amazing. I loved Minecraft. I loved Fortnite. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be the next big thing, but I'm willing to give it a shot. However, I am saying beforehand, I don't expect it to be. I don't expect it to be huge. I think they're going down the wrong rabbit hole, and they're taking a franchise which is well established and doing pretty well for itself in the wrong direction. I think they should have seen from the Fallout 4 sale figures and from the feedback they got from the community that it wasn't as successful, partly due to the building stuff. People just weren't big on the settlements idea. It just wasn't that fun, I don't think. I found it a grind and boring, and I didn't like the workbench crap. And I hated the fact that, like, people made loads of memes with the fact that we had to go from, like, settlement to settlement, saving people just to get extra workbenches, and it's boring as hell. And I think if that's going to be, Fallout 5, just the building stuff from Fallout 4, but with multiplayer.
No, so the nice thing I think is that I think they're actually reducing the building aspect of it and just making it more focused is what my hope is, because I was not compelled by it at all. I didn't care. I was like, I built like a shack and was like, I put a bed and the things I needed it, and that's all I ever did. Done. Never even did the defenses. I never defended a town. Any of that crap. I was like, nope, don't care. So I just did the basics. So I'm hoping I'll actually enjoy the hell out of this. We'll see. But yeah, so that to me was just because it answered what so many people I know had talked about wanting to have in a Fallout game with the level of multiplayer. So we'll see. And the fact that you can also go find nuke codes and shoot out nukes from various silos around the world.
That sounds very cool.
And it changes the landscape. It creates a Fallout place where you can go get different like minerals and stuff from those. So I'm so curious. And we'll see what happens. And it's coming out this fall, right? And so all of that like bonus, and I'm excited for. So we'll see what it does. We'll see what it does. I'm excited. I hope it's going to be good. But I think Bethesda killed it. I do recommend if any of the stuff, if you didn't actually go watch the Bethesda show, their conference, because even though there's a few awkward pieces of people trying to talk through it, I really think it was good. And so just, yeah, that's my thoughts on it. So please check it out, I guess. And let us know, actually, what the big things, because we blasted through just kind of what happened there. I want to know your guys' impressions. Who do you think won E3 as a company? What were the announcements that really got your blood boiling, that got you excited to be a gamer, that you can't wait to see what's next? I know I'm not a huge Nintendo fanboy, but I know people that were just like, what? With stuff they were showing, right? So let us know. Email us at showx@vtwproductions.com. We'll pick it up and we'll talk more about it next week. We'd really like to hear what you guys have to say about E3. I have a lot of other news that I wanted to get into, but I knew this was going to take it up. Just general. Yeah, there's just other news that has happened. I made a whole list of notes that I want to actually bring up. So some of it has to do with this. I don't think any of the other stuff has time.
Articles up that I didn't have a chance to get onto at all.
So we'll probably focus on a lot more articles again next week when we do that as well. But I did want to make sure we at least covered E3, got back in touch with you guys to say, hey. So hopefully this show went better than it has for a few, and we'll try to keep up the quality for you, everyone. So thank you for joining us. I am going to get out of here. I've got a group to go across town to go play some Pokemans, and so I'm going to try to accomplish that real quick. But thank you very much for joining us. Ken, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's good to be back. I've very much missed it and missed everyone who listened.
So with that, I'm not going to do the whole out this time. You know where you can find us. Let your friends know. Come talk to us more, and we will catch you again. Oh.
Also, big one I want to shout out to is our subreddit, which has not really seen much use yet.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Saying hi. Go take part. I think I might have actually put up some security settings because I saw a couple people said some new posts in there, but I don't see them. I don't know what I've done wrong. But let me know. Communicate with me. So go to reddit.com/r/showx. Subscribe to our subreddit. We have 6 subscribers so far, which is nice. Nice start. And make a post. And if it doesn't work or whatever, shoot me a message on Twitter and let me know, and I'll see if I can look into it more. Okay. But I put some effort into making it look nice. I think we actually got quite a nice little subreddit there now. It's got a unique feel. It's got some rules. It's got some good links and stuff.
Yeah, well,
check out as a replacement for the forum. So,
well, one of the things I would definitely throw out there for the subreddit, if you want us to talk about some stuff, go ahead and post it there as well. We can do a kind of what used to happen with Alpha Geek and stuff, and I don't know if they still do, but kind of that research forum part, where if there's things that you guys want to discuss and have us bring up on the show, just throw it in the subreddit, and we can start talking about it there, and we can bring it up on the show to see what we've all decided. So that'd be a fun thing. But yeah, it's time for us to run. Go ahead, Ken.
Thank you all for listening. Send us an emails to showx@vtwproductions.com. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/VTWShowX, twitter.com/DocDead for Mr. Win here, and twitter.com/GoHex for myself. Follow us on reddit.com/r/showx. Much appreciated. Also follow us on Facebook. Search for Showx, you'll find us there. And also support us on Patreon, patreon.com/showx. Every penny there is appreciated. We actually updated that in the past week as well, so go check that out. And thank you all, as always, for listening in and bearing with us with our technical difficulties.
Hey, not as bad as previous, so hopefully... Always good to have you, Ken. Thank you very much. And we will check you guys all like next week. And let's see if I can do this right. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, Showx. See you next Sunday.
Send in your emails.
Almost.
I heard that one.
Almost. Yeah, I almost got it. I got to figure out a better way to do that. So, bye, everybody.